So Porto 1, Arsenal 0. 41-year-old Pepe captained a 1-0 win against Arsenal. Super Mick is the same age. We were awful tonight. Pathetic performances all around the park. And our European record is disgusting, and that ain't changed tonight, unfortunately. We went in with high hopes. Kenny predicted a draw. Myself and Jez predicted a win. But we also, all three of us, plus Matty, who can't make it tonight, said, yo, don't underrate this team. They're a good team. Right winger, Conceição, baller. They got the win. Cracking goal. Fully deserved to win. If you don't like the ratings, cry. We don't care. We'll be back again in 3 days for the Newcastle game. Sub to Jez's channel, Arsenal History and More. And make sure you follow Kenny Ken 1972. Jez, I'm going to go and get myself a cold beer and drown my sorrows whilst you give us your little breakdown for anyone who ain't seen the fan cams, mate. Well, and after that, Kenny, you do likewise.
Yeah, I'm so disappointed because after our recent game performances, I've been loving it. It's been a joy to watch dream football. You can't deny it. Let's put it out there. Yeah, we've given the utmost respect to the players, the manager. Everything's been looking good. I thought we are going to go away to Porto today and we'd put an absolute team performance out. I predicted a 2-0. Maybe that was a little bit over optimistic, but it was absolutely boring. Seriously, I mean, if I hadn't had to watch that game, if that wasn't Arsenal, I'd have switched off and gone and watched something else. It was rubbish. We couldn't command anything. Yeah, it's all right sitting there and saying, "Oh well, we had 70% of the possession." Well, that's great. Yeah, but 70% of the possession does not win you a football match. We've had this discussion before, right? 70% and you're actually sitting on your ass and doing absolutely nothing does not mean you're playing well. We did nothing tonight, and it's an embarrassment. We should have actually lost that game 2-0. Be fair. Let's be honest. Hit the post, then get a rebound, bangs it into the standings. Right? That's in the first half. Second half, well, what do we do? I mean, I'm sorry. Our midfield tonight was bloody awful. Our front three were bloody awful. We got lucky with our defence because not all of them performed. And it's embarrassing. I'm so disappointed because why are Arsenal so crap in Europe? Anyway, Kenny, I'll let you talk, man.
No, I second what you said. I think what our euphoria over our last performances have been well placed in the Premiership. I do think we're better equipped for the Premiership than we are in Europe, and I said that many times in a few shows, obviously with you guys, and I mentioned that with Dan as well. Porto aren't West Ham. They're not Burnley. They're not Crystal Palace. They're not Nottingham Forest. They're a team that's won the Champions League twice. And they can defend, and they have better players than those teams we've played. What we did was basically bore the pants out of everyone. Had I been watching another game, I'd have been. You know what? I'd have just either fallen asleep, switched over to something more interesting. The game was actually boring to watch. We pride ourselves in being able to control games, but as I said before, possession does not equate to domination, and it certainly doesn't equate to scoring goals and creating chances. We did nothing of that. You will possession's sake. The fact is, Porto defended better than us. They controlled when they were in attack. They created more chances than us. They fully deserved the win. Really, 0-0 would have been fair for both sides, but I think there'll be more questions about us than there would have been about Porto had it been 0-0. But 1-0 says it all. The only saving grace is that we're going to have to play a lot better in the second leg. But one thing I would say is that Porto ain't going to be like Lens. They're not going to be like PSV. I hope they are, because I've been proven wrong. I thought we'd have harder games, but boy, they're going to be pretty confident of being able to do the same thing in the setting leg. So our curse of Europe hasn't left us.
No, no.
Yep, facts. You know how this works. If you don't like the ratings, cry. All the mutants are out tonight. You're flip-flopping. Last week you were happy. Now you're fuming. Yeah, it's almost like we actually rate players and the manager off of what we're witnessing rather than just brushing dead performances under the carpet. So if you want to cry, cry. Guess what? I turn up every day. Every single day. I'll be back again at 1 p.m. UK time with Northside Inside and Flawless. Goalkeeper, Jez. Didn't have a great deal to do tonight. They only had 2 shots on target. They did, however, hit the post and shank one wide. He was about 1 million yards off his line for the goal, anticipating a cross. What did you make of him, mate?
Well, I thought he was solid first half. I thought he did a decent job. Got lucky, hit the post, shanks it into the, as you said, into the hoardings. Second half, didn't do anything wrong. Wasn't really troubled. I will criticise him, and I was going to give him a different rating, but I've dropped it by 1 point because he was way too off his line for that. So if he'd been 2 yards back, I think he'd have a possible chance of punching or passing that shot over beyond the post. But my criticism also, Lee, is the whole team had switched off. Martinelli tried a stupid ball to Saka. Saka lost it. Rice didn't do anything when the guy was right 2 yards away from him. Right? The guy takes a shot, bangs it in. Let's get it right. It was a great goal. And I have to say, it was a great goal. But Raya, if you'd been a little bit further back, man, and you've done this before, and I'm not going to get into this row of the Ramsdale Raya bollocks, because at the end of the day, I think Raya's better. But at the end of the day, you could have done something with that, and you didn't. And unfortunately, it cost us the game. But I'll give you a 6.
Benjamin White, Kenny.
I thought Benjamin White wasn't really himself. Didn't really have much to. He probably didn't. He probably was thankful that he was a right back and not a left back. But he wasn't anything to write home about. From an attacking sense, he wasn't. What he normally is. Didn't have much time to invert. Everything was played through the middle. I'm going to give Benjamin White a 5.
Let's go other side. Kivior, Jez.
Well, it's not the play we've seen against West Ham and Burnley, that's for sure. But then we've stepped up a level, haven't we? We've come into now the big boys league. And I've given this guy great credit in the last 2 games. But I'm sorry today, fella. You look bloody awful. And getting nutmegged twice, that's not a good look, fella. And you're a 4.
William Saliba, Kenny.
Naive, careless, too sure of himself.
Yeah.
Was lucky that, Galeno didn't have his shooting boots on. But the fact that he had 2 bites of cherry, was worrying. You've got to realise that as good as you are and as well if you've played a long time, in games like this, where one chance can kill you, you've got to be better than that, mate. And I'm going to give you a 5.
Gabriel Magalhaes, Jez.
Gabriel Magalhaes, not on the game tonight. Really, don't know, went absent. Don't know what was going on there. The whole team, let's be honest, the whole team went bloody AWOL tonight, didn't they? Yeah, I'm sorry, mate. You're getting a 5.
Let's go Declan Rice. Declan English, Kenny. I knew you'd like that one.
I must admit, it was a deserved booking. I'm sorry, fans of English football, but watch European football. Watch European games a lot more. Watch the Champions League.
Oh, they don't. They're snobby. They're all farmers' leagues.
Yeah,
half of our team are made up of these farmers' league players.
Exactly. At the end of the day, the fact is that Marco Oliver wasn't refereeing that game. Neither was Paul Tierney. Neither was Chris Kavanagh. Neither was Anthony Taylor. They're referees who know Declan. These referees don't know Declan. The fact is, if you tackle like that, the referees are obliged to get the card out. But saying that, he never hit. He never shied from any tackles. I thought it was an okay performance, apart from You know, he could have got tighter for Galeno's winner, but you know, I'm going to give him probably going to give him a 6. I took a mark off, not for the booking, but I took a mark off for not getting tighter to Galeno when he had that shot from 25 yards. Because at the end of the day, our goalie was off of his line. Our goalie's taking a risk because he's expected that to block that.
Let's go 29, Jez.
Terrible tonight. Absolutely terrible. We'll come on to this in a minute. We'll go into deeper values of this, but not the player I've seen in the last couple of weeks. And wasn't impressed at all. Kenny said a few weeks ago he's got pace. He's watched him at the Emirates. You said he's got. Oh God, I'm surprised the pace. Nah, not tonight, man. Bloody awful. 4.
Let's go to our captain. Head flick. Cruyff turned on the edge of Porto's box by a centre back.
Well, the situation is that, you know, I've always mentioned, players like, Ozil and, our captain Odegaard, give them space in the Achilles. Porto, sorry, are no fools. They're no fools whatsoever. They're not good. They're not going to give him the space that he got against Liverpool. They're not going to give him the space he got against West Ham and Burnley. They did their homework on Odegaard and they forced him further back, forced him in a quarterback role, and he did more actually defensive work than he actually did from an attacking point of view. They got the tactics spot on by him. He wasn't effective at all in a creative way, and you've got to give Courtois credit. So I'm going to give him a 5 today because at the end of the day, he got well marshalled and well marked, and he got taken out of areas that caused his harm, and he did a lot of pressing. Let's get it right. He did his best, but there were a few silly free kicks he gave away, wasn't there, as well? So I'm marking him down for that as well.
Let's go to Gabriel Martinelli.
Oh dear. There's not a lot I can say, Lee, about it. Be honest, so I'm not even going to bother. For
Starboy.
Another one who basically was well marshalled. I thought the fullbacks of Porto were better and got the measure of our wingers. Our wingers were actually kept on the pitch to actually stretch the game, but we didn't stretch the game. They wouldn't allow it, and even when they did get into the wings, that he got well marshalled. So once again, this is one of the reasons why maybe certain pundits have reservations about whether he's world class or not, because these are the games where you've got to display that kind of like, how do I say it? That tag needs to be adorned on you. You need to prove that you're world class, and today he wasn't. So I'm going to be generous and give him a 5, but that's a generous 5 because it could have been a 4. But I don't know. I suppose I'll give him a higher mark. He took some corners. I don't know, but it wasn't great.
Let's go Trossard. Hooked off in the second half. Jez missed a very good opportunity. Maybe a half chance, but he's got better tech than what he did. I think that ended up in Galicia.
It's still getting there, mate. It's still there. No, sorry, mate. Terrible performance for me. Just seemed lost, absolutely lost, and nothing I can praise the guy about. I love Trossard. I think he's a levels player. But nah, not tonight, mate. Not tonight. 4. Terrible. Awful. To get hooked for Jorginho, what difference did that make to the game? That says to me that Arteta's now playing for defence, right? Where I would have hooked off, personally, Havertz. I said start Jorginho.
We all said that. Yeah.
Right. Start Jorginho. It's a sort of game for him. Okay. He can command a little bit and he can command what's going down in the midfield. No. Okay. I get that. Fair play. I'm not going to kick him up the arse, Arteta, too much for that. But replace Jorginho for Trossard and make one the only substitution. Shocking. Awful, awful, awful. Sorry, Trossard, you get the 4.
Jorginho, Kenny.
Well, he was only sub, and sub personally should have started the game. I do think that was the sort of game in Europe that you would start him. That's no reflection of Kai Havertz, but he should have started the game. But there were instances when he came on where he had a bit of the Lauren Hardy's, where he misplaced a couple of passes, but became a bit nervous, a bit careless, and he put us in a bit of trouble. So for a player that I think should have started, the control that I expected to give us, he didn't give us. So I'm going to give him a 4 because that put us in a lot of trouble. But I will say that had he started a game, I'm sure, and he being in tune in the game, I'm sure he wouldn't be able to do that. But to try and to do that when we weren't really under the cosh, but he created pressure that shouldn't have been there. So yeah, I'm marking that for that.
Yeah.
You know how this works. If you don't like the ratings, cry. We don't care. We're back in 3 days for the Newcastle game. We're going to do a 3, 2, 1 countdown. Make sure you follow Kenny Ken 1972 on Insta and Arsenal History and More on YouTube, Jez's channel. Make sure you follow Lee Reacts as well. Very close, literally less than 50 from 25k. I will be back tomorrow for a watch along. I'm back on this channel for the show with Said, Northside and Flawless. 3, 2, 1, 4.
Yeah, I haven't said anything, but I probably would have given him a 5, but I can understand why you give him a 4 because he's got his team. I would have chosen Jorginho over Havertz. He's kept Havertz on because for his aerial ability, but again, we didn't really display that. What Havertz did, he was a nuisance, and he was basically blocking defenders. So, our players can have 3 headers, but come on, none of the headers. How many headers went on target? Oh no, none of them. One went over the bar, a couple went wide, well wide. So I don't know. He gets his tactics probably spot on in the last few games in the Premiership because we are, in my opinion, more equipped to win the Premiership than we are in Europe. That's the way. It's not because of the.
You said that the other night. Respect you. You did say that on your side. You did say. Sorry, Dan Pop. You did say that.
I do believe that. The shape of the team. The speed we have on the counter attack. Our ability to dominate games, our athleticism as well. That's all prime to win the Premiership. But in Europe, they're not scared of. You can't win games in Europe playing like that. You have to be more controlled. But the trouble is, when we play more controlled football, that hurts us. It hampers our ambition, and it makes us a lot less effective in Europe. It's only when we go back to what we do best, we look $1 million. Unfortunately, in Europe, teams, you can't play that in Europe. So we haven't got that balance in Europe between how we play in the Premiership, how we play in Europe. And
we used to.
We did, but that was we're talking. Yeah, I don't know. Arsenal in Europe. The thing is, you look at Arsenal.
We had a totally different level of player. Yeah. I'll give you that one. We had a totally different level of midfield and strikers. But why? I'm just going to ask you this question, Kelly. Right? I'm not calling you out. I just want to ask you this question. You know it. You know the ball better than me, right? We've played some very incisive, intensive football in the last month, let's say.
Yes.
Shouldn't we really, Kenny, be taking that to Europe?
Well, the thing about it's not as easy to do that because Man City have been caught out when they've tried to play the Man City ball in Europe. Teams who can defend better and who have quality in attack. What's happening in Man City is that they're getting done on the counter attack. Their wingers or inverted wingers were getting dealt with, and I think that's why it's very difficult to translate that kind of football into Europe. Sometimes Klopp's teams. Last season, rock and roll football struggled as well. So I think in terms of how we play, I do think that over the years Arsenal have struggled in Europe because they find it difficult to translate that kind of play. There's only one, probably when George Graham was charged, we won the Cup Winners' Cup. We were able to play European style football, hence we won the competition. In Arsene Wenger's 2006 team that got to the Champions League final, we actually played a lot of proper European team. And hence the fact we got to the final. But when you talk about the great Arsene Wenger sides, we found it very difficult to transfer the way we play in the Premiership to Europe. So it's not just Mikel, it's an Arsenal thing. You think about our pedigree in Europe. We won a double in 1971. We only got to quarterfinals a year later against Ajax, and hence we went out of the competition.
Yeah.
We won the league in 91 at a canter. 92, we got knocked out by Benfica, Isaias and Cole. You know what I mean? So until we transfer our play our domination in the Premiership into Europe, it's going to be difficult. I think most English sides, since probably Liverpool in the 80s, haven't been able to consistently transfer that kind of domination in Europe. Chelsea have done it okay a bit, but that's when they had a great defence. But when you talk about genuine domination that we used to have in the 70s and 80s, it hasn't been there because it's hard to play that kind of intensity in the Premiership, and then when it comes to Europe, it's hard to replicate that. That's why I rate teams, our English teams, who got the finals. Like we got the final in 2006, Spurs got the final in 2019, Liverpool have won the Champions League twice since they've returned to Europe. Man United have won it twice, Chelsea won it twice, Man City won it. I respect them for even getting the finals and getting into those competitions because it's hard work for English clubs. Whilst our cousins in Spain, the transition's not that great. You know what I mean?
It's a great point, mate. It's a great point. That's a great debating time. Maybe one day we'll have a debate about that because when you look at what Man United did in Europe as well, with under Ferguson, they were decent. I mean, at the end of the day, I just think it's a great shame, Kenny, that a team like Arsenal, we are what, the third, fourth biggest in England, and we've never won a Champions League.
It's the hardest cup competition to win. I'm not saying that the other competitions like the Europa League and obviously the Conference League now, but your cup winning is a hard thing because winning a European trophy isn't easy because the amount of games, the amount of travelling you've got to do. But when you come to the Champions League or its previous reincarnation, which is the European Cup, there's so many big teams. Ultimately, you're playing the best teams in Europe. You're playing teams that won their leagues, and you're now playing the second, third, and fourth best team in their leagues as well. And the thing about it is that the best players in the world will play in that competition, so it's not easy to win it.
Of course, it's not. I totally agree, and I hear what you're saying, and I endorse what you're saying. But my point is, right, a club the size of Arsenal, in English football, and no disrespect, in European football, should do better.
100%. 100%. Because Dave, no matter what, Nottingham Forest got the 2 stars, Celtic have got a star. Aston Villa have got a star as well, and
Porto got 2 stars.
2 stars, and Benfica obviously in the early part of the competition in the 60s got stars. But the thing with Arsenal, the hard thing about the Arsenal is, for some reason, I don't know why it doesn't translate, because we've had so many goes at this competition. We only got 1 final, 1 semi-final. So this year has to be different. But I still think it's difficult for this team to transfer that kind of panache in Europe. They do it at home, but I don't know. I hope I'm proved wrong in 3 weeks' time.
Listen, we're seeing it. We'll see. But we will be back again for Newcastle. Go on, Jesse.
Before we bugger off, because I know we've got to wind this up, it just proves a point to all you little Arteta sexuals out there, right? You're going to watch this and you're going to put all your negative comments in that we hate Arsenal. No. I think if you want to go back and actually show a brain cell and listen to what all of us have said here tonight, we want positivity. We want us to win, right? What we lack in this football club is the levels of the players that can get us over the line. And have we got the manager who can get us over the line? No, because at the end of the day, right, he's proven once again he has not got the levels to do it. And I'd love it. If you're going to give me all the hate in the world, bring it on. Come and sub to me, and I'll give you every fact about this football club. Because at the end of the day, I've been here too many times, and I'm bloody fed up with it. Because how many times in my life have I seen this situation, right, and we've never done it. And that's my point. And I think one day, maybe in a week, whenever, when we're out of the Champions League, possibly, yeah, it'll be a great debate time with Lee and Kenny on a live show, and we'll talk about it.
Facts. And on that bombshell, we're out of here. Big up to everyone who's tuned in. Jez, very quickly, what you got coming up, mate?
Tomorrow night, Kenny Ken, 5 p.m. talking about this tomorrow night, and then we're going to talk about the Newcastle United game at the weekend. That'll be an interesting debate now. And Friday night is the big quiz for Kenny Ken, Anthony Herbert, Kyle Walsh, and young Jack from Crystal Palace. He's joining that one. That's at 7 p.m.
Oh, right. It's a general quiz, isn't it? So, yeah, damn general. I'm looking forward to all of them. I'm going to get your pen paper, right? But you know what? Let's be honest. It's a 180-minute game. We're only at half time. You know, there's loads of things we got to do a lot better, and we've got to be more how to say it, braver in terms of tactically. We've got to play more attacking football and come out ourselves. You know, come out shells, take a risk, because the longer the game goes on at the Emirates and it's 0-0, the pressure will be immense. So we need to sort of get an early goal.
Yeah, facts. We are going to wrap this up. I'll be back again at 1 p.m. UK time with Said and Northside. We're out of here. Laters.
Take care, all.